So the next component I need to add in is this guy, which is our microscope eyepiece. It's all set up basically. There's all these little knobs you can adjust to change the focus and to alter the aperture and all these kind of things. You can also, this one here allows you to finely adjust. So you can move it forward or backward, which we shouldn't need to do in this circumstance, so I'm just going to put it in the middle. But it gives you lots of options, this. And first part's really simple. So I'm going to give myself a little bench room, so I'm just going to move these down. And I'm going to put this in next to the laser. And all I need to do, so first of all, I need to just get it so that the laser is actually going through, and then I'm going to, when I get that, there we go, I'm going to tighten this. Now let me just, hopefully what you can see is I've now got a much bigger fuzzy spot, like the mole growing on my back, that is way off center again. And that's just because the actual microscope eyepiece is not aligned. But if I make big adjustments to it, just by hand, it's usually imprecise. So you can see if I, oh, there we go. So I can kind of get it centered there, just by hand. But we have a lot of little controls on the bench that let us kind of finely adjust and so on. So let's just have a little look at those. So for example, right now this is a little too high, so I'm going to just adjust there. That's good. So that's now centered in this spot. And then now that I've got some tension on this, I'm just going to physically, very lightly kind of tweak it. It's much easier to do when there's some resistance, I find, because when it's free to move, you can make big changes very quickly, but there's enough tension on this screw that this is quite tricky, and so I have to have fairly fine control to adjust it. So let's have a look at how I've got the spot now. And there it is, bright and central as a McDonald's worker's face. But we just need to check that it's still parallel, because of course I've aligned it at this point, but it might not be aligned further down. So once again, I'm going to take the screen and I'm going to slide it all the way down here. And yeah, you can see that's pretty good. Now, one of the issues we have is that this beam's much bigger. It's much less precise as a result. And so it's a little hard to judge if it's perfectly aligned or not. I think it needs a little height adjustment, but no horizontal adjustment. What I also want you to notice here are the peacock's eyes. So if you've ever seen a peacock, you've maybe seen its tail feathers and, you know, chased after them to rip them out so that you could shove them into your face and capture the peacock's beauty. But hopefully you see the kind of similarity there. So one thing I'd like you to do in the lab diary for this one is to explain where peacock's eyes come from. Now I don't mean the actual peacock's eyes, which are obviously from God, but I mean the peacock's eyes that we see from this lens system that we've set up. But I'm going to just reset the height of this just a little. So you can see if I turn one way, it kind of brings it just a little down. And I don't know if you could see in detail how much I adjusted there, but it was about 1/8 of a turn of the height adjustment. And let's slide back up. And to my eye, that's just a little low. So let's, there we go. That was even less of a turn backwards. But there we have it this time. So that looks really good to me. So there we go. That looks pretty solid. So that's just got two components in place. Now, as I said, I think in the intro, I recorded it a while back, this is the fiddliest experiment, so it does take a while. And obviously I've done this quite a lot, so you know, I've maybe got a bit more experience than some people at setting this up, so it's maybe a bit easier for me, but it really does need to be completely precise, otherwise you'll see nothing at the end of the experiment.